why don't we just kind of dive right into these new modalities and,
Okay.
you know, kind of, I don't know if people would pick that up, but I guess if you would back it up just a little bit and sort of talk about what you were doing and what you're doing now and maybe the transition, what caused you to take that
Sure.
road.
So originally, well, it's funny, if we went way back, I did CBT. I don't know if you're familiar with cognitive
No.
behavioral therapy. That was
Okay,
years
okay.
ago, and it kind of works backwards because you're looking at thoughts and how thoughts lead to feelings. And what
Right.
we've learned with EMDR since then is that if we get to the feelings, then we can kind of actually get to the body and get to changing the thoughts almost organically.
Okay, so let me make sure I'm understanding. So with cognitive behavioral therapy, we've gone through the idea. It's that basically our feelings flow from what we believe or what we're thinking. And so what you're moving into now says get to the feelings, especially those that are physically manifesting. And once you can get there, then the thoughts themselves change.
Exactly.
Fascinating.
And so in some ways with EMDR, we have to find out a little bit about the negative belief. Like we would literally pick a trauma. And then within that, as you and I or whoever we're working through, trying to figure out where we want to go with it, we kind of chat about, well, so what do you believe in that moment? What's that belief? And it could be something like I'm unworthy or I'm going to die. I mean, there's all sorts of, and it's not like literally the words are coming through your head.
Right.
It's more of this just feeling. And then we would work through it. And then on the other side, it would be this new I am safe. I'm worthy. And it's not something that would be an actual equation. And whatever happens is amazingly more empowering than what we logically might think before we do it. But now, if I use this therapy that's called AEDP,
Okay, and that stands for?
accelerated experiential dynamic psychotherapy.
Okay.
All these letters just drive me crazy.
I know.
I don't like them. I really don't. But so then we're able to literally just kind of find the body, see what emotion's right there, and ride waves of emotion. And all of a sudden we go from a place of words to no words to amazing new words. And so we're, instead of just picking a trauma and then being with a feeling, we're getting into the room together and letting feelings just organically happen, because that's really how life happens. And if you're with me, I can feel a feeling much easier than if I'm alone. Or even with what EMDR can be relational, but often that therapist is like, okay, go ahead, feel it. I'm going to be over here. Watch me do that, which is not as relational.
Right. So, all right. So, some people are familiar with EMDR,
yeah.
and so with the EMDR, there's a certain amount of, I guess, the idea, my understanding of it is that you're kind of going between the hemispheres of the brain to rewire.
Right.
That trauma interrupts that in some way. So there's sensory things that are happening, like either sounds or lights that are going back and forth from left to
Or
right.
even someone's hand. And
Okay.
what we're trying to do is actually move it from a stuck place. It's in the body. It's not literally in the head. And so we're literally helping it move from a stuck place, almost like if you think of a scratch on a record. Trauma is just like that.
Okay, so let me see if I can get you to kind of deep dive a little bit more into this. It's in the body, okay? And so, like, can you think of like a simple example or like a very basic example that most people would be able to identify? Like, you know.
So it's interesting because we were talking about EMDR. I often think of a soldier who, let's say, a bomb went off. They're in the desert, and they might even. I don't know why I like the idea of an example. Their hands in the sand.
Okay.
And then let's say they heal. They do a lot of processing. Maybe 5 years later, they go to the beach. They're fine, but all of a sudden their hand gets in the sand just the exact same way. It's not a thinking thing, and boom, their brain now is back right at that moment.